K98 Talk is expanding its lineup for 2015. This means we are expanding our advertising base. Whether you're a startup trying to push through to the next level or an established business trying to supplement your advertising budget, web-based advertising is a solid investment. Thanks to Talk's newest partnership with TuneIn Radio and instant access to our sister station, K98 FM, we give you worldwide access at a reasonable cost. Interested parties should email us at sales@k98fm.com. The leader in talk radio on the internet, right here on K98talk.com.
This should be played at high volume, preferably in a residential area.
In this hour, you will be informed, entertained, and possibly offended. From the Kensington Place Studios, it's time for According to Me.
TPA, TPP, Fast Track. We discuss the Trans-Pacific Partnership deal that has strange bedfellows all over the place on this deal. The best tasting beer I've had, in a long time. I had this past week. A new law passed in Texas that has to do with marijuana. Something historic's going on in the sports world right now, and an asshat of the week of epic proportions. And from the Kensington Place Studios, this is, according to me, Barack Obama and John Boehner's second most hated internet radio program, the two-hour show that lasts 60 minutes. Thank you guys for joining me this Wednesday evening at 9 p.m. I know it's a little different for a lot of you. You're hearing me at 9 going, wow, what's going on? New time slot, same night, hump day. We're just at 9 p.m. versus 10. So listen to the show, guys. If you are in the chat room, thank you for being there. We will chat along with you as we can throughout the program. A couple other things to keep in mind of, too. The Blackhawks are playing. So just like last week, if you heard the show, do know that while I'm talking to you and talking into a microphone, and I got here, if you guys want to hear, and this is just part of it. I don't know. You can't see this, but that's a stack of stuff that we have that we're going to cover this evening. But I'm looking at that, and in the corner of my eye, I'm not lying, Blackhawks are on. So, again, you can turn the Blackhawks game down. You can listen to the audio here. And if for some reason you're enthralled in the chat and you're just enthralled with the things that we have going on here, it's all right. Rick's prepared. Right, Rick? We got it ready? We're good to go?
Yeah, we are good.
We are good to go. So if the Hawks score, we will keep you posted. If you're a Lightning fan, please leave. Thank you very much. All right. So, we got a lot to cover this week. Speaking of that, Rick, that voice you hear is the lovely, the talented, the voice of K98, the mastermind and producer extraordinaire, Mr. Rick Robinson. Rick, thanks for being here, buddy.
Not a problem at all, sir. How you doing this evening?
You seem thrilled. You know that? You seem absolutely thrilled.
Oh, I just hide it well. But yeah, actually, I am thrilled. I like listening to your show, so it's kind of cool to actually get to participate instead of just sitting here pushing buttons.
Well, good. Well, thanks for being here. We do appreciate that. And, of course, Rick will be chiming in with some thoughts. I know he has some thoughts a lot about TPP. You down with TPP? Yeah, you know me. Well, not really. We're going to talk about that later on in the program and give you, the information that we can on it. There's a lot of confusion, and I think that's by design. So we're going to try to tread through this the best way we can, get some thoughts from Rick as well, because I know the K98 team has really, really talked about this a lot this week. So I'm not going to, I know that there are several places you can get your news, get your resources from. Do know that a couple of reasons why you go here is sometimes I will tell you the things in a way that makes sense to people. So I will try to do my best to kind of translate exactly what's going on here. But then more importantly, talk about the things that not many people are talking about but should. And that's what we do here on the program. So again, thanks for being here. If you don't get a chance to hear the whole program throughout the show, maybe you got to cut out, halfway through it. You shouldn't. And you hate America if you do that. But in the event that you do, make sure that you subscribe to our podcasts, either through SoundCloud or on iTunes or the podcatcher, your choice. Just type in Politainment. You'll get all of the podcasts from not only myself, but the Stafford Voice and Real Serious Nonsense and The Right Angle and much, much, much more fun to come. So make sure that you do that. If for some reason you can't stick with me the whole show. And again, you hate the country if you do that, but I understand. Don't feel bad. So with that said, a couple things. My headphone's cutting out a lot this evening, folks, so I apologize. I'm not sure what's going on with that, so technical difficulties here. But the one thing I saw, and this happens to a lot of us when we see our first topic today, I should say, is a lot of times you see things on Facebook that, you go, you know what, I should leave that alone, but I have to comment. And my friend CJ Wheeler on Facebook was in Washington, D.C. this past weekend. And she took a picture of, a sign that said no smoking. And then in huge letters below it, including e-cigarettes. And she's like, yep, in Washington, D.C., it's happening in every building. And that's not just in D.C. You will look throughout the country, and you will see building after building after building that is outlawing vaping or e-cigarettes. And it's something that's bothered me for quite some time. It's one of those subjects, when you do a show, when you have a show every week, and I've been doing the show now for, about 2.5 years. When you do the show and you do one every week, there's certain topics that just say, one of these days I'm going to talk about that on the show because it drives me crazy. And it's a common theme that you'll hear with me. If you stick with me and listen to kind of my point of view, I'm a small L libertarian in regards to how I feel about things. If it either picks my pocket or breaks my leg, well, what difference is it to me? I don't care. Do what you want to do. Personal freedom, personal responsibility is kind of what our country was founded on. It's kind of what we should continue to do. And I believe that when it comes to vaping, when it comes to e-cigarettes. But let me give you some background in regards to it and give you some facts, because there's a lot of BS that's out there in regards to it. And like I've said before, it's important to stand for the things that you don't do. It's important to stand for the things that you believe in, not because it's something that you choose to do or not because it's something that you like or whatever the case may be, but you stand for them because you know it's right and you believe in freedom and you believe in rights of people here in America. That's why you stand. That's why you stand for freedom of speech for the people that you disagree with. And that's how I feel about this. And let me give you a little background here, folks. In regards to cigarettes, I have not smoked a day in my life. So, I'm going to come out and I'm going to talk about vaping and I'm going to talk about e-cigarettes this evening. And a lot of people are going to go, well, that's just because you do it. So that's why you like it. No, not at all. Never smoked a day in my life. Give you background. I grew up, both of my parents smoked. My mom, my dad. My mom quit a couple years back. My dad still smokes. My brother still smokes. I was the only one of the four of us growing up, eventually I should say, that never smoked. And I'm not a smart guy by any means, but at the age of, third, fourth grade, I was like, that seems dumb. The whole smoking thing where you got there's all this stuff in this paper and it makes you cough. And then my mom or dad wake up every morning and they're hacking their lungs out. And that just seems stupid. And then after a couple years, you're like, hey, how you doing? Hey, come on over here, honey. You have the whole smoker's voice and stuff. It just never made any sense to me. So I never did it. It was throughout high school, I just never found an attraction to it. Many people do, but I will tell you this. When I met my wife, she was a smoker. So I don't look my nose down on anybody who smokes or decides to, do the things they want to do or live the life they want to live. Again, doesn't bother me any. I don't really care. Do what you want to do. That's how I feel. But at the same time, when you look at the idea of an e-cigarette, when you look at the idea of vaping, let me just give you my personal opinion, and then we'll give you some news on it and then give you some facts as to why it makes sense and why people are freaking out about it is beyond me. When you look at the things that are bad about smoking, when you look at the chemicals and the carcinogens and all of the crap that you put into cigarettes. Even growing up as a kid, you heard they put a lot of stuff in there that's really, really bad for you. Okay, well, they do, and that's why you probably shouldn't smoke them anymore. But when you think of the idea of cigarettes or e-cigarettes, you think of, okay, well, it's really just nicotine, but it looks like a cigarette, which, calms the oral fixation of a lot of people who either are trying to quit smoking or would like to smoke but rather would just use that. It gives you the nicotine. It gives you the feel of a cigarette, and you blow vapor, water vapor. Okay, well, it's not smoke. So it's great for everybody. Not only is it just me getting nicotine, but I'm not harming myself, nor am I harming anyone around me. But yet you see state after state, country after country around the world that is passing laws right now that states that you can't smoke e-cigarettes anywhere that you can smoke a normal cigarette. And the answer and the question I have is why? It makes absolutely no sense, because the basis of not being able to smoke in public is, well, secondhand smoke's really bad and people could die from that, and I shouldn't have to breathe in your smoke, get cancer. And then you see the people on TV are like, hi, how are you? I worked in a restaurant for 40 years and I got thrown. You hear that. So I understand the reason for wanting to possibly, even though there's a lot of science that is completely conflicted, even on secondhand smoke. But that doesn't stop anybody from pushing that agenda by any means because, well, that doesn't stop climate change now, does it? But you get you can kind of buy into that one. So explain to me why somebody in a restaurant, why somebody in a federal building, while somebody anywhere who blows water vapor into the air, how is that harming you? It isn't at all. Bottom line. And yet it's like, well, it looks like a cigarette. So are we that stupid? Do we not understand the difference of it? Because I have this thing called smell. You can kind of tell the difference between water vapor and actual cigarette smoke. This just in. But yet people go out of their way. And it's the same people that are the food police. It's the same people that are against, legalizing marijuana. It's all of these. They're the people who, have stupid-ass laws in the state of Indiana that you can't buy booze on Sunday because, just because it makes sense for us to do, which it doesn't make any sense. It's this constant desire to run the lives of people and not allow them to make personal decisions that are impacting them. It just makes absolutely no sense. You have Albany County and New York passed a law, banned indoor smoking, e-cigarette, vaping. By the way, there's a difference. I want to kind of state the two here. E-cigarettes are the things that R.J. Reynolds and your tobacco companies actually make. Okay, vaping is an entirely different. It's a smoking device that it's entirely different. I'll get into that here in a second. But you look at Albany, New York, a huge 30 votes for yay, 6 for nay in regards to banning the electronic cigarettes or vapes in any state building or any building that would essentially go against the Clean Indoor Air Act of 2003 in the state of New York. And you look at the Welsh government has completely banned vaping pretty much in any restaurant or any building that you normally can't smoke in, you also can't vape in. And when you look at what e-cigarettes have become, is they've become really a kind of a consumer-led revolution because the products have evolved so quickly. And this is the thing. You should be applauding people who decide to do this, right? I mean, because the people who love to police your lives, the ones who love to tell you how bad smoking is, well, now you have people who are making the choice not to do that. They're still getting their nic, they still have their nic fits, so they're going to get their nicotine. BFD, nicotine is nothing in comparison to the other things that are out there. But they're getting their nicotine just like they get Nicorette or just like they get in the patch. But why? Why does no one have a problem with that? But it has water vapor and it looks like a cigarette, so that could be bad. It's insane. It doesn't make any sense whatsoever. And there's no statistical analysis whatsoever that gives people any information that smoking essentially is, or vaping, I should say, or e-cigarettes are bad for anyone else. The difference in the impact that it has on people, 90% of people who either smoke e-cigarettes or vapes quit smoking regular traditional cigarettes. I kind of think that's a good thing. There's study after study that shows that, inhaling vapor from somebody else's e-cigarette, vape machine or whatever the hell you call them, does nothing. Does absolutely nothing to you. Nothing. And so it drives me insane that we have the nanny state continue to say that you can do this and you can't do that. It's based on, well, look, I don't really care if you smoke, but look, your smoking's impacting other people. And it's not fair that other people have to put up with your smoking because, well, that's not their choice. You're making that choice, but we all breathe the same air. Okay, yeah, we're all breathing the same air with water vapor in the air. Who the hell cares? Who cares? What's in vapes is vegetable glycerin, which is basically the thing that makes the vapor when you're looking at vapes, essentially. There's 3 ingredients in these things. Now, I don't know all in actual traditional cigarettes, but it's staggering. So you look at vegetable glycerin, which is there for the actual vapor. You look at propylene glycol, and this is where people make the mistake. It's the climate change people. The climate change people, there's scientific study. That's the same stuff they put in antifreeze. No, dumbass. There's diethylene glycol, which is the stuff they put in antifreeze, and there is propylene glycol, which is the stuff they put in inhalers. So, you know that whole thing? That's what that is. Oh, that glycol, different one. Yeah, just a bit. So the three ingredients in vapes, and this is what they are. The thing that makes the vapor, which is vegetable glycerine, glycol, and you have nicotine. That's it. And you can pick how strong you want the nicotine to be. Like super crazy, like, you know, Camel Wide non-filter strong. Or no nicotine at all. There's a lot of people who smoke with no nicotine in their vapes. Again, folks, these aren't things I do. But coming to a town near you, if it hasn't happened already, you will see and you will see signs all over the place going, oh, you can't do these. And once again, I ask why? Why? What impact does it have on you? There's a story that came out this week. San Francisco put a warning label on soda cans. Soda cans. Because, I mean, you're too stupid to realize that drinking soda is bad. And you know what? If we put warning labels on, then we can cut childhood obesity down. Yeah, that's working really well. Her quest against childhood obesity is working. I guess it is working because people are throwing out their freaking lunch. So nice job. That's working for you? Should put a sign on the outside of soda cans that say, warning, you're in San Francisco. They should put on there. And you go, holy crap, I'm in San Francisco. You talk about a hazard to your health. Get the hell out of San Francisco. That's the best idea you could have. I just don't get it, folks. I don't understand why if it doesn't impact me personally, if it doesn't impact anyone else but yourself, why do we care? Why? And why are we such hypocrites as a country when it comes to alcohol? No one seems to give a crap about any of that stuff. But water vapor, you know, that looks like a cigarette. I can get confused because I'm stupid. Are you kidding me? It's called personal responsibility, folks. And if it doesn't impact you, who the hell cares? And it keeps happening. And it's not just about this. I say this as a guy who doesn't do it. I say it as a guy who is pissed off by the continued overreach of people who feel that you're too dumb to know what's right and wrong to help you. And somebody may be offended by water vapor in the air. Right. Just drives me nuts. Rick, do you have any buildings out by you in Oklahoma? Has that hit Oklahoma yet? I haven't seen any in Indiana, but have you seen... There's stores all over the place up here that are carrying vapes, and it's a growing thing. But at the same time, you're getting just as much outrage as you're smoking water vapor in public. Yeah, that could be bad. I don't think it is, and maybe it is. Are you seeing that stuff, Rick, or no?
Yeah, state law. State of Oklahoma, anywhere on any state property, you are no longer allowed to smoke, which includes e-cigarettes. That includes outside of the property or in the parking lot.
So what do you think of that? What are your thoughts on that?
Male bovine excrement.
And it doesn't have to agree with mine. It doesn't have to align with mine. I'm just curious what your thoughts are.
My thoughts are, to put it as politely as possible, it's a bunch of male bovine excrement.
That is as nice as possible.
And that's exactly what it is. I mean, look, you know, I understand. Not everybody likes smokers, but we're going to get to the point soon where you're going to have cops pulling people over on the side of the road and taking them to jail because they're smoking in their car.
Right. Absolutely. Larry had an old bit. He's like, you know, pretty soon you're going to have cops outside your door going, we see you in there with the cigarettes, you know, come out with the cigarettes. I'm like, I'm in my apartment. What the hell? You know, and that's what it's going to be sooner or later. But now it's not even
there.
Again, it's the nudge. It's the progressive nudge. It's the nanny state nudge. Look, we're just here to make things better for others. You want to do that to yourself? It's okay. We just have a concern of everyone. And so can't do this. Oh, okay. And it's the same thing I mentioned a couple weeks about the food stamp law, right? The same concept. When the government feels, because it's on their dime, and when the government feels that it's their decision to decide what's best for you, because strings, look out. And when we allow things like that to happen without going, that's BS, dude. Well, coming to a town near you, e-cigarettes, they gone. Doesn't make any sense to me, folks. Curious your thoughts in the chat room. Those with me. Again, I don't smoke. Never have. But it's BS. And I stand for freedom. And so should you. I know, coming up next. Actually, that segment, by the way, brought to you by Audible.com. If you have lots of, you know, for example, we got like next weekend. Isn't it next weekend? Yeah, we have Father's Day coming up next weekend. Popular gift for a lot of fathers is to get them a book. I've gotten a lot of books throughout the years, for Father's Day from the kids or from the parents and stuff like that. And I love to read. I love to get caught up. Like I said, there's Clinton Cash. So many good books that I want to read. I don't have time. Are you kidding me? I just simply don't have the time. But what I do have is I have a smartphone, I have a tablet, and I have a subscription to audible.com. So this way I can go on and download any of the new books, by the way. And this is Audible's part of Amazon. Hundreds of thousands of books to choose from. Whether it's an old classic or it's a current book that you've been wanting to hear or read, you can hear that. A lot of times they're read by the actual author of the book. Great stuff. You get a 30-day free trial as a listener to the program and as a fan of Politainment. Trial.com/Politainment. You get a free trial, one free book, no strings attached, to have forever to listen to. And then if you keep the subscription, which you probably will, you get a book a month every single month for free, or you can bump up your subscription rate, actually get 2 every single month. Car, while you're cutting the grass, while you're in the bathroom. Don't act like you don't do that too. You can do that. Audibletrial.com/Politainment. Now, coming up next, you down with TPP? Yeah, you know me. Well, actually, no, you don't know. You know me, but I'm not down with TPP. Anyway, strange bedfellows all over the map on this important topic. We'll discuss that next on According to Me.
This is JD and Stacy with K98 Talk. We're here to talk to you about TPA. You may have called it Fast Track, TPA, or Trade Authority. Whatever it is called, it is a terrible idea and is coming up for a vote as early as June 11th.
Barack Obama is negotiating the Trans-Pacific Partnership under an unprecedented veil of secrecy. Our congressmen who view it are threatened with legal action if they disclose details of the documents to the American public.
Fast Track or Trade Promotion Authority, if passed, will prevent Congress from making amendments, debating the provisions, and allow passage of trade agreements with a simple majority.
There is no conservative case for Fast Track Trade Promotion Authority. Our systems of checks and balances demands that Congress weigh and debate trade agreements, demand that Congress does their job.
For information about Trade Promotion Authority and what it really means, visit coalitionforastrongamerica.com and then call your congressman and demand they vote no on TPA when it comes to the floor of the House. This has been a public service announcement by JD and Stacy of K98 Talk.
When the sun goes down, things heat up at Afghanistan's only gentleman's club.
The Gaza Strip.
The only thing hotter than the desert sun are the girls. Don't just think about what's underneath that burqa, because we're the only gentleman's club where girls wear burqas you can
see right through.
We have specials going on every night. No cover to charge if your close relative was a suicide bomber on Martyr Mondays. And Tuesdays, we break all the rules. It's TNA Tuesday where women expose their toes and ankles just for you. Don't forget our Can't Miss Falafel Friday. And every night, DJ Al Jazeera plays your favorite Sharia-compliant songs. Check out our bathroom with indoor plumbing and running water. Plus free valet parking for your camel. What more can a man want? Your new favorite hangout is just a stone's throw away. Leave your prayer rugs at home, boys. You won't need them at
the Gaza Strip.
Our military service members volunteer to protect us in the most dangerous places around the world. They step up. And when they are severely ill or injured, returning to their families is only the beginning of their long road home. Wounded Warrior Project provides these brave men and women whatever they need to continue their fight for independence, at no cost, for life. So now it's time for a grateful nation to step up. Join us at findwwp.org.
The leader in talk radio on the internet, right here on K98Talk.com.
Welcome back to the show, folks. Rick, I hope you're ready. I got the sound effect. I know you got it ready. Are you ready to go?
No, actually, I'm not, because I only have so many decks. Hang on just a second. I do have it, though.
Oh, for God's sake, Rick.
I'm ready now. I said give me a second.
You have one job. Play it, dude. Do it. Goal, folks. Blackhawks up 1-0. You can hear that.
Yeah, thanks for making me feel like the guy from the Only Had One Job meme.
Portico, can you hear that? Can you hear the fizz? Maybe you can hear that, folks. I'm telling you what, I have fallen in love. A wife, and I love them, and I love my family as well, but I have a close love, very close love. Rick, do you enjoy an adult beverage now and again?
Yes, sir, I do, actually.
You do?
Yes.
Do you enjoy root beer?
I have had root beer, yes. I've never had the adult version of root beer.
Oh, my flippin' God. Folks, do yourself a favor. You need to check out right now. If you can find it near you, it's actually Bob Frost, Wisconsin, small town brewery. I drink during the show. Don't judge. And this evening, I am drinking a Not Your Father's root beer. And let me tell you, folks, you will have a drink of this stuff, and it is root beer. You could give this to a 4-year-old, and they'd be like, wow, this is good, Mommy. Amazing stuff. Really, really, really good. Rick, I can't encourage you enough. You could actually leave the production studio right now and go get one if you could find it. I'd be okay with it.
I would love to do that, except I have no idea where to find one anywhere near me. But you're like the second person lately. You're like the second person lately that has mentioned that there are now adult versions of root beer, so I will be having to find one now. God.
I'm dead serious. It's the best stuff I've had in a long, long time. Folks, if you're in the chat, you're listening. Not Your Father's root beer. Pick up. I don't own the company, but it's amazing stuff. And especially during the summer and a hot, hot day like it is right now. I am sweating buckets here in the Kensington Place studios. It's the Kensington Place studios. If you're not familiar, it's right off. It's the back extension of the mansion. Huge palatial estate, and it's the back section there. But a lot of glass in the Kensington. It's very warm on this lovely, lovely day, which is what makes it even better is when you can have a nice cold sip of root beer with quotation fingers. Amazing stuff. But TPA, Fast Track, all these words that are going out there, and you heard the commercial from a little bit ago from JD and Stacy here on K98, and they kind of gave us their thoughts and opinions on what's going on and what to know about it. And there is lots to know about it. The funny thing is, you have incredibly strange bedfellows all over the map on this situation. And I know that our good friend, Mr. Rick Robinson, the producer, who wasn't ready for my sound effect, but I'm sure he'll be ready to talk about the TPP, has his thoughts on this, and I want him to share those with you as well. But I got to tell you, folks, it's an interesting thing. It's been out for years, and no one really talked about it. Some people did. And now we're getting to the point where we're about to make the vote. We are about to move forward with such a thing. And most people have no idea what it is. Maybe you've seen throughout the news the last couple of days, you've seen some trending topics on Twitter or even just on Facebook or things like that. Obama trade is what they're kind of calling it now, kind of making fun of Obamacare and deal essentially was. And there's a lot of people who will say no to Obama trade. There's people who are saying yes to Obama trade. And here's the funny thing that I wanted to share with you in regards to it, because sometimes we will look to obviously, me, I'm a free thinker. I think for myself. A lot of times I go against what my quote unquote side would say. But then, there are also times that I will agree with the left if they're saying something right. And this is one of the most, we've talked before on the program where some days you feel like up is down, left is right, inside is outside, and that's what this situation is. Because the fellows that are involved in supporting and or being against this Trans-Pacific Partnership is just amazing. And so I want to give you the information that I have, what I've been able to, and then obviously we'll have Rick chime in as well with his thoughts and opinions. We may go a little bit late this evening since we got a little bit later of a start, but I want to make sure that we discuss this with you so you can know it and try to do your own homework yourself. Don't just listen to what I say, just listen to what Rick's saying and go, oh, okay, well, I guess it's good. Make your own decision. Get the information that you can get out there. But I will tell you, I spend a good amount of time prepping for a show. I don't just turn the microphone on and go, so let's talk about stuff. And again, I like to be prepared for the show. I respect my audience enough that you come here to listen to something that is hopefully insightful, gives you some information, keeps you informed, entertained, possibly offended, right? I mean, that's the whole purpose of doing the show. And even when trying to do TPP, it's just there's stuff all over the place. It's all over the map. And you read some opinions of people that you respect and typically would go to try to see what their insight would be, and you're like, wow, that's weird. I wouldn't think that person would say this. And there are examples of that. Rick Perry, for example, today, came out and said, hey, I'm kind of in support of this whole TPP and Obama trade thing. And so you have people going out there, saying, well, Rick Perry's done with me. Screw that guy. Just based on that and that alone. To give you an idea of what essentially the idea of the Trans-Pacific Partnership is it's being called a trade agreement, but I mean, keep in mind that only 2 of the 26 chapters cover trade issues such as tariffs and quotas. What many are considering this program to be is an expansive, I guess, system of enforceable government or global governance, I should say. That is, if you're part of the TPP, then, we all play by the same rules regardless of what our laws in our own countries would be. And so the actual nations that are involved are Vietnam, Brunei, Singapore, Chile, Malaysia, New Zealand, Australia, Japan, Canada, Mexico, and Peru. Those are the countries that are involved in the TPP. And the idea is you're going to kind of have a one-size-fits-all rule when countries. But to kind of keep in mind of a couple things that should concern you in regards to this is what United States law will no longer have an effect the overall decisions and or laws are on other TPP countries. So we all kind of play by the same rules, which sounds in theory like it's a good thing. But if this country, let's say Japan, New Zealand, doesn't believe in this particular part of the law, then they don't have to abide by the law. You also look at the impacts that foreign banks will have and other firms operating here. They'll be exempt from environmental and land use regulations that typical American-owned companies or American businesses would have here, right? So similar to what we're used to, a lot of Americans are frustrated who come from other countries who have exemption after exemption of tax exemption and write off this and the ability to do this and this and this and now play by the same rules as a company that I or you wanted to open as an American citizen. So this just takes that further. And the thing to be concerned in regards to the TPP that I see is when we look at trade agreements overall, let's just look at it historically and see if they've worked out for America. And the answer is no. When you look at NAFTA, right, which is a big deal in the 90s, you remember Ross Perot on CNN making a huge deal out of NAFTA. I remember those days. He's like, let me show you a pie chart here. And you look here, and you can see that is a bad deal for United States. And that's why I'm running for president. And, that's Ross Perot made his case. And he had a decent impact as a third-party candidate. And that was one of the main platforms he ran on. And this is a bad deal for the United States. Why is it every time I hit the bong, there's no merit? It's just water and air? Anyway. My Ross Perot impression. But you see right away that NAFTA, if you peel back the onion and you look at that 20 years later, that 1 in 4 manufacturing jobs because of NAFTA has gone from the United States to Mexico. So it has been a job killer of a bill. You now take that same premise and you involve Japan, Australia, New Zealand, who have, a much lower labor cost, much lower tax rates and tax burdens that possibly they would be able to, companies here in the United States would be able to benefit from. So they continue to move their business and their developments elsewhere. So if you look historically in regards to what trade agreements have been here in the United States, they've never been a good thing. America's never benefited from having a super sweet deal with Malaysia. It just never works that way. Malaysia it's a redistribution of wealth type of situation in almost every trade agreement. And so that's what we have here. But here's the thing that should concern a lot of people in regards to the transportation. This is, of course, we're told the most transparent administration of all time. We're told an administration that's going to make sure that every bill, we're going to put it on, and people are going to be able to read it, and they're going to decide for themselves what they think before the people that they elect vote for it. The TPP right now is under one of the most lock and key situations I've ever seen or heard of in my entire life. Listen to this. Let me find this here really quick. The secrecy behind what's involved in this right now, it's being kept at the Capitol in secure facilities on both the House and Senate sides. Only members of Congress and some staffers with high enough clearance levels can go into the room with other members, and they're allowed to read it. That's it. Oh, now, Obama could publicly release this, but he doesn't want to do that. And what the defenders of this bill are saying is, well, because it's super secret, squirrel, top secret stuff that we don't want people to know. I mean, you look at other, I want to know this stuff. That's why he's not making it, common knowledge. I mean, this is a transparent president. I mean, don't accuse him of being secret on stuff. Really? We going to go there? But this is what I'm talking about in regards to the strange bedfellows here. You know who's against the TPP? Again, this is Obama's baby. This is his thing that he's pushing. Elizabeth Warren is against the TPP. Barbara Boxer is against the TPP. Who else is? Rand Paul. You know who else is? Jeff Sessions. I just named 2 Democrats and 2 Republicans who were typically on the most diametrically opposed sides on the history of the planet, and they're all against it. And why are they against it? Because they don't think it's because what the TPP allows you to do is it essentially makes it so the president himself, regardless, and this is why you should have an issue with it, America, whether you are Republican, whether you are Democrat, whether you are progressive, whether you're conservative, crap. Can we all agree that any president, regardless of side, should not have full autonomy to be able to decide what nations he wants to do business with without any accountability whatsoever from the Congress that we elect, the green light or the red light on said decisions? I think the answer to that is yes. Makes sense, right? We elect the president, but we also have local control of our government, our local officials, our local representatives say, whoa, hey, don't vote for this. That's bad. We shouldn't be trading with this particular country. What the TPP, and now you're hearing a lot about the TPA, which is essentially is what they're also calling as fast track, really, which is motion authority, which basically gives the president the authority to be able to do what he needs to do. He has to tell Congress what it is, and Congress can either vote on it up or down. They can't take anything out of the bill, but they can either say yes or no. So basically, with the TPP is you're making Congress a rubber stamp. And you want to know who says that? Democrats do. Democrats are the ones saying, hey, look, whoa. This is a rubber stamp for the president. We shouldn't do this. You know who really hates this idea? Unions. Well, that's interesting because Obama plays kissy face with the unions most of the time. Unions hate this idea. Well, you think? Look at NAFTA with one out of the United States. Of course they're going to have an issue with it. So you have a lot of Democrats who are supported by unions are going, yeah, this is bad too. But they also love the president. So what the hell's going on? But you know who really likes this plan? You know who really, really wants to give it up? Mr. Orangey Orange, Mr. the guy who bathes in Tang, Mr. John Boehner. Yeah, he thinks it's a pretty cool idea. So does Rick Perry. So does Ted Cruz. Huh? What? And here's the premise that they'll use. And it's a fair premise. Look, we are in the driver's seat of this deal. If we don't deal, guess who will? China. And then China writes all the rules. If we're involved and we solidify this deal, when China wants to come play, and they will eventually because they'll need to, they've already written the rules. Fair point. But regardless, do you believe in a rubber stamp? Ted Cruz, really? Do you believe in a president? What am I missing here? Regardless of what your political party is, regardless of what your thoughts are on this, historically, trade agreements are usually bad. It's usually a redistribution of wealth and a job killer for Americans. On top of this is under secret squirrel, super secret stuff that like no one has access to. Most Republicans are in favor of it. Most Democrats are against it. Huh? Rick, what are your thoughts on this whole heads or tails of this mess?
Well, I mean, I can't really make heads or tails of much of any of it. The only thing I can tell you for sure is it is a mess and a nightmare and a half. The biggest thing that I'm concerned about with the whole thing is, you know, if they're keeping it under lock and key, how can they? I mean, Obama's blatantly said there's nothing that's bad about the TPP and the TPA and all that stuff. Okay, so if there's nothing bad about it, why can't we see it? What happened to the bills being available for people to view? What happened to hearings on C-SPAN? What happened to all that stuff? The one promise he has kept is he does appear to be the head of the most transparent administration ever. It just appears to be the most transparently corrupt administration ever.
Yeah, and that's the thing I don't get. And I know that you posted on Facebook earlier today about Rick Perry saying, hey, I'm supporting this whole thing and we should. And what was your response to that? I'd like you to share that with the listeners.
Well, I mean, here's the thing. I actually had just gotten back from the pool when I saw that, so I opened it up and realized that was actually from about a month ago. So I'm not sure what his position is on it now. However, even if he's changed it, and this is exactly what I said, is I'm still undecided, but I'm pretty sure I'm not voting for this guy now. And then further down in the thread, when other folks were talking to me about it, I basically said, look, is he changing his mind because he's realized that it's some really bad crap? Or because if he did change his mind, is it because he realized it was really bad crap? Or is it just because he realized that when he said he was coming out in favor of it, he stepped in some crap?
Right. Or because he's running for president, now he has to go, oh, yeah, this is, well, what are people thinking? You know, are completely torn on this. Because like I said, I mean, if you were to tell me that Ted Cruz would be siding with Obama on something, and Elizabeth Warren would be completely against it, I would go, what? What the hell's that about then? I'd be shocked. But yeah, that's what's happening.
Yeah.
And so I challenge anyone to go on Google right now and try to read information on it. Because, again, you know, there's many things I'm not, folks. The years, throughout the times you've been able to listen to my show, you hear at least my ability to be able to take something that people go, I don't really know what the hell's going on, to break it down to where you go, oh, well, that makes sense. And I got to be honest with you, folks. I spent a good 2 days trying to break down the TPP. I don't even know what the hell it is because there's no information out there because no one wants you to know it. And the people who don't want people to know and the people who don't support it can't have access to what it is. And so there's no information that's out there in regards to this. And I don't care what political side you're on. This started under George W. Bush. George W. Bush wanted the TPA for the same exact reasons. So this is not a party thing as much as do you believe that the president of the United States, regardless of who the guy is, just because you like the guy now, let's say, if you're on the left, the guy who takes over, if he's from the right, you're going to like that guy's decision. You won't. Which is why you make sure that you have a balance of power, which is what the Constitution says. And that's where Rand Paul is on the right side here, along with Elizabeth Warren and Bernie Sanders. What in the hell is going on? I'm flabbergasted. I don't understand it at all. I'm beside myself with it. But there's the nudge. There's a little bit of to be able to dig in and find out yourself what you think about it. This is happening as early as tomorrow, folks. There are votes on this as early as tomorrow that are happening, if not Friday.
Well, before
and don't be surprised it's Friday, because if it's Friday, big government decisions happen on a Friday that suck because they're hoping that you're already making your weekend plans and you're going to be out, in the summertime out on the boat or out hanging out and having a good time and forget about it. And then come Monday, and you're like, yeah, but it's Monday. Who cares? They hope you move on because we have ADD when it comes to issues in our country.
Yeah, I mean, before you change gears, the scariest thing that I figured out was for those of you who don't know, we do a show here on Sundays called Bloody Marys and Broadsheets. It's actually hosted by JD and Stacy, the folks you heard in the PSA a moment ago. JD was sick, so I had the chance to sit in for an interview that actually was with Stephanie Scruggs, co-founder of the Coalition for a Strong America, and that's when I heard things about TPA, TPP, and even the TTIP or whatever the heck the next one's supposed to be called. I don't know what is up with all these letters starting with T's and P's and everything else. But the thing about TPA and TPP both is if all of that passes, it's a docking agreement, which basically means there will then be a sitting council of the original members who take a vote to see who else they're going to do trade with, basically worldwide, which means at some point we may actually have to trade with Iran, and it also would completely remove sanctions from the table as a deterrent.
Absolutely. That's a great point, Rick, because, we haven't allowed many other countries. And if they're like, yeah, I know that America has an issue with Iran, but hey, you're part of this deal and we'd like to trade with them. So guess what? You are now too. Well, no, that's not okay with us. So I don't know. It's really concerning stuff to know. And again, TPP is nothing more than the process in which the Trans-Pacific Partnership, the actual plan itself between the TPA is a trade promotion authority, which essentially gives the president the authority. I guess the best way to look at it is really almost a rubber stamp from Congress. It uses the Trade Act of 1974, and it allows the president to be able to say, hey, Congress, here's what I'm doing, and they either vote yes or no. They can't amend any of it. They can either vote yes or no, and that's it. And a lot of people are in favor of this plan that you would never would be in favor of this plan. And the reasoning behind it is kind of sound. Either we write the rules or China does. Which one do you want, America? I get it. But it's either that. Aren't you fighting for transparency at the same time? Aren't you fighting to want to know what the hell this is? When the rumors are that 2 of the 26 pages or the 26 points, 26 chapters, I should say, have, to do with tariffs and quotas. What's the rest have to do with? Financials? What write the rules and what don't write the rules? Because when you look historically under this administration, when you look at the rules of the internet, when you look at our foreign policy, even for that matter, we lead from behind. We don't want to take charge. We just want to be involved. Okay, well, while I don't want to be G.I. Joe, while I don't want to be the world police, I also don't want to be one of the guys either. I don't want to be any of the guys. I want out. And definitely do your homework on it. Read some information that's out there. It's coming up soon. But at least want to give you an idea as to what this means. Overall, I'm against it only because I don't know all what it is. And if I don't know what it is, I'm not going to agree. Should you? Should anybody? I don't think so. And the reason why you don't know all what it is because this president doesn't want you to know all what it is. But it's okay. Republicans are okay with it, so it must be okay, right? Nope. Be a free thinker. Think for your. Have the courage to say, I agree with Elizabeth Warren. Yes, I said it out loud. I don't think that'll be the only time I actually say that. But at least for now, I said it. All right, coming up next. Does Tex-Mex and Texas barbecue go well with pot? Well, I don't know, but a new marijuana law passed in Texas happened last week. We'll discuss that next here on According to Me.
Are you currently waging war against the infidel? Dreaming of the day you can become a martyr and yet Allah Akbar with bombs strapped to your chest? Stop! You don't commit acts of terror over religious fanaticism. You commit acts of terror because you don't feel you have a chance to earn a career. Well, now you can find a career that's right for you at
jihadjobs.com.
At jihadjobs.com, you'll find dream careers like camel breeder, goat shaver, hummus chef, desert realtor, and so much more. You'll also find those careers with competitive pay and other tremendous benefits like extended bereavement time if your family member was a suicide bomber, 48 hours of maternity leave,
Not for women.
and much more. Introduce yourself to another bank besides the West Bank. Stop waging war against the USA and start contributing to your 401k. Stop raping, start reaping the rewards of an exciting career at
jihadjobs.com.
your new career is just a stone's throw away. jihadjobs.com.
Website is for men only and approved under Sharia law. All women who access the website will be stoned to death. Other restrictions apply. Consult Allah for details.
jihadjobs.com.
Now's the time to get involved. The Coalition for a Strong America is the only conservative grassroots organization meeting with congressmen and high-level staffers on a regular basis. Stephanie Scruggs, co-chairman, is concerned about the upcoming TPA vote.
First of all, what you need to know is that fast-track TPAs are still before Congress, where Congress gives their power to negotiate international trade agreements and treaties to the president.
She recommends contacting your representative and telling them to vote no on this measure. It comes to the floor this Thursday, June the 11th. For more information, go to coalitionforastrongamerica.com and let your voice be heard. This has been a special announcement from K98 Talk.
Welcome back to the show, folks. So, Rick, are you a basketball fan?
No, not really. I actually wasn't really at all till we got a team here, but now that they're out of it, I kind of really don't care.
And I understand that. Folks, I'm here to tell you. Before we get into this story about Texas and the asshead of the week, which, oh my God, the asshead of the week is ridiculous. I have been a longtime staunch defender of LeBron James. So many people hate him. So many people rip on him. Folks, if you're watching, and I don't care if you are a maybe you were a big Bulls fan and you're a Jordan fan, and once he left, you didn't care. I know there's a lot of people who feel that way. History is possibly going to happen in this NBA Finals. LeBron James has scored 40 in the first 3 games of this series. He has an absolute half of his team is injured. Or at least his best players are gone. They're out. This guy is playing with a bag of bums, just bums, and they're winning the series 2-1. LeBron is taking over, and I'm here to tell you, folks, if the Cavaliers, you have to know the story. I don't care if you're a sports fan or not. That LeBron James grew up in Cleveland, played for the Cavaliers, left the Cavs, left his city heartbroken, went down to Miami, came back this year to play for Cleveland because he realized he made a horrible decision and he broke a lot of people's hearts, and he really wanted to win the city of Cleveland. And yet here they are, the first year he's back. They're in the NBA Finals. He's playing with a crap-ass squad, and his team is up 2-1 because of him. I'm telling you folks right now, and I say this as a Bulls fan and as a Michael. If LeBron James wins, if the Cleveland Cavaliers win this series, you can easily have the conversation that LeBron James is the best of all time, without a doubt. Because Michael Jordan never played with a bag of crap he's playing with. Michael Jordan was the best player, but he had some guys around him. This guy has no one, and he's dominating. Just unbelievable stuff. It's must-watch television. I don't care if you like basketball or not. Rick, do me a favor. Promise me you will game. It's on tomorrow.
See, the problem is I really don't like LeBron James either, though.
You're going to watch it. You're going to like it. The guy's amazing. He's absolutely amazing.
Fine, I'll turn it on just for you.
Basketball, because thank you. I appreciate that. And you will send me a message on Facebook going, holy crap, this guy's ridiculous. You're about to watch history in the making, seriously. And Cleveland sucks. We know that. And they beat my Bulls. But what they're doing is just amazing. It's must-watch television. I don't care if you're a sports fan or not. I don't care if you haven't watched basketball in 20 years because you don't have an interest because Michael's gone. Folks, you really should pay attention. But you know what else you should pay attention to? You should pay attention. Rick, I also want to make sure, besides twisters, besides hurricanes. Why do I call them hurricanes? But that seem to, you probably have a tornado warning every day, correct?
Usually for most of the month of May and part of June. After that, we're usually good till about October again.
Good. Okay, so besides that, you know what you should be worried about people from Texas spilling into Oklahoma with the dope because you and your children are going to be eaten up by dope there, Rick. And it's dangerous and bad and evil. It's wrong because Texas passed a bill that allows cannabis oil to be okay in the state. Not marijuana, not medical marijuana. No. Cannabis oil, however, was passed in Texas. Now, let me tell you what cannabis oil does, and it's amazing. And I talked about this on my show a year ago about what cannabis oil can do for people. The passing of cannabis oil being a big deal for some states is the following. Cannabis oil does, especially for those who have incredible epilepsy or seizure, something that's absolutely monumental. Now, what you need to know about cannabis oil, and hopefully you know where I stand in regards to marijuana legalization. It's the same thing I said at the beginning of the show in regards to vaping and e-cigarettes, or cigarettes as a whole. I don't smoke marijuana. I don't smoke cigarettes, but you know what? If we are the party of personal freedom and personal responsibility, then why the hell do I care? And what kind of hypocrite am I if I say that whacking down a case of beer on a good old, whacking down a case of beer at your buddy's house and then driving home is okay, or drinking a case of beer or throwing down a fifth of Jack is fine, but oh man, you smoked a joint, you bastard, you freaking hippie ass piece of crap. When the statistics that are out there, folks, show you the exact opposite. It's not even close. But anyway, what cannabis oil does is the thing that gets you high in cannabis oil doesn't have that. So there's no product possibly in cannabis oil that cannabis oil should be allowed in every state in the country. It has no marijuana quota on anyone. You could give it to a 2-year-old. But here's what cannabis oil does. Let me tell you a little story about a boy named Conrad. He was 12 years old, weighed 45 pounds. His growth was stunted years and years ago, found in a pool. He has brain damage. They have a contraption that they have called the stander so he can eat. He has a hard time moving on his own. He can't speak. Has incredibly severe epilepsy. Some of them last 30 seconds, some last 5 minutes. He has sometimes 80 seizures a day. He lives in Texas. My little buddy Conrad will be able to buy cannabis oil. And what cannabis oil does is greatly amount of seizures. There was a story I told about a family who moved their family to Colorado, and the reason why they moved to Colorado is because they passed the legalization of it, where they can buy cannabis oil legally, and their child, 100 plus seizures a day, had about one, maybe a week. It's a miracle drug, folks, and it comes from marijuana. The state of Texas passed that, but only for people with severe epilepsy. Yep, medical marijuana still not allowed. And what's funny about the who don't support medical marijuana until a member of their family is in extreme pain, then they go, man, it'd be really nice if there could just be something that you could give my mom, something you can give my mother, something you can give my uncle or my father-in-law or my grandpa to make the pain go away. I have 4 kids. If any of my kids have seizures a day, I don't give a crap where I have to move to make sure that this doesn't happen. And yet we still have stupid-ass, ignorant states that don't see the value of this. You could make, and I think it's dumb, that having medical marijuana or having marijuana legalized in your state is absolutely the right thing to do. But I could see the argument there. But having it for medical purposes and not having it even legal for medical purposes is just flat out stupid as hell. And when you look at other states throughout the country, when you look at Texas, who typically I love Texas. The reason why I semi-support Rick Perry as a president is because he runs a really good state and has for a long time. And when most of your jobs year after year after year after year after year come from Texas, they got to be doing something right. But I'm here to tell you, folks, this is flat out dumb. Because you know what's going to happen, Rick. People are going to get that marijuana and they're going to get eat up with the dope. And then kids are going to get it. Kids are going to get the dope. Rick, we got to do something about it in Texas. We can't have kids have dope because the kids are going to have it. Kids get their dope anyway. Through some jackass in an alley. Kids get their cigarettes anyway. Kids get their booze anyway. Stop ruining people's lives. Use your freaking head. Again, we cannot be the party of personal freedom and personal responsibility and make stupid-ass decisions like this. And the state of Texas goes, look at us! We're going to help 149,000 epilepsy patients with cannabis oil. Great. That's a start. Barely. You can go much, much better than that there, Texas. But I'm concerned. I mean, I know you're in Oklahoma. You're just north there, and you know what's going to happen. They legalize it in Texas, and that dope's going to spread into Oklahoma, and then Oklahoma's going to be mad because people in Oklahoma are going to get eaten up with the dope too. Right? Rick, what do you... Actually, I don't know if we've ever talked about medical marijuana or just marijuana legalization as a whole. What are your thoughts?
Well, actually, we just passed the same thing up here, so the cannabis oil is legal as well. As far as my thoughts, they've honestly changed due to personal experiences that I won't really mention on the air, but I have friends that were impacted. One of their children got mixed up, and because of the fact that the stuff that actually won't kill you isn't readily available, they got into synthetic marijuana, which, if you haven't looked into that, it's some crazy, scary stuff. But needless to say, after dealing with that and seeing that firsthand through friends and what they went through, my views have actually changed. Because at this point, if the stuff that we're basically just putting a label on it that says not fit for human consumption and then selling it to people anyway when we know they're going to smoke it, is killing them, then why not just let them have the stuff that won't hurt them that does the same thing anyway?
Exactly, Rick. I'll tell you what. I'm just curious what your thoughts are in the chat room, as well as if you follow me on Twitter, by the way, at ATM_show, at ATM_SHOW. We can continue the conversation there. Let me know your thoughts on that. And again, this segment, real quick, before we get into the Asset of the Week, is brought to you by our Amazon.com partnership here to Play-Detainment. And I don't know about you. By the way, quick announcement. This is my ADD talking here. Next week, we are a week away. Guess what next Wednesday starts, Rick? Are you ready? Are you excited? Do you know what next Wednesday is? The start of next Wednesday.
Is it bad if I say no?
I'm disappointed in you, Rick. It is the start of Ramadan.
Oh, that would be why I didn't
No. Don't pretend as if you don't know. So I'm going to tell you, everyone who's listening to the show, whether you're listening to this live or listening to the podcast, Rick, be ready. We are going to have a freaking celebration. Do you understand? Because I am not going to be the type of stereotypical closet conservative guy who hates the people of other faiths and hates the Muslims and the ISIS and the ISIL. And no, I want to show you how much I embrace their the diversity, how much I embrace their heritage, their beliefs, their traditions. I love them. And I have songs prepared for Ramadan. I encourage that all of you join me. I believe you're supposed to eat bacon during Ramadan. At least I believe that's how it works. But you should join me in we will have a bacon feast live on the air next Wednesday at 9 p.m. to start the celebration of Ramadan. And we'll do it right. Again, we have songs ready. It's going to be a great night. I hope that you guys are ready to go. And join me. Make sure you join me. Because I want to celebrate it. A lot of Dave mentioned in the chat room, you have embassies around the world in the Middle East that are celebrating the 4th of July now because the 4th of July happens to happen during Ramadan and they don't want to insult anybody. So they're celebrating the 4th now, on June 10th, which makes total sense. That's okay. June 17th, next Wednesday, folks, be ready. It's going to be a festival of fun right here on According to Me. But if you have things you need to buy for Ramadan, for your close friends, family, relatives, things you need, again, you have to celebrate with me. You have to be part of the festivities. Maybe you go out and buy yourself some Not Your Father's root beer. Maybe you get some bacon. Maybe you get all types of fun things that you're going to need for Ramadan. You can do that on Amazon.com, right? And everyone shops on Amazon anyway. But here's the difference. If you're a fan of Polititainment, if you're a fan of According to Me, here's what you do. Instead of going to Amazon.com and buying stuff like you typically do, just go to Polititainment.net, Polititainment. I can't spell it. Polititainment.net. Go to the website. You can click on the Amazon banner at the top of the page, buy stuff on Amazon like you always do, but a portion of that goes to your friends here at Polititainment. Make sure you do that. Again, Amazon banner at the top of the page, Polititainment.net. Buy your stuff on Amazon. We certainly appreciate it and certainly support us as we help us grow here at Polititainment.net and our friends here at K98 Talk, of course, the awesome station that supports us, and Polititainment.net, the little website that could. Rick, without any further ado, it's time for this week's Ass Ad of the Week.
It is time for this week's Ass Ad of the Week.
It is raining buckets outside the Kensington Place studios here, so I apologize for the background noise. And again, I gotta do a better job of soundproofing the studios off the mansion here. But Rick, I want to tell you a story about something, and I want to get your thoughts here really quick. I want to tell you a story about a guy named Jason, and it's not me. I'm not doing this in third person, but another guy named Jason. He calls himself One Hand Jason, and here's why. He cut off his arm with a very sharp power tool, and he tried to do it for months. And he tried to figure out different means and ways to remove his limb. And he studied first aid on himself so he would understand how to stop the bleeding really quickly. And he even went to the local butcher shop and found like animal parts that he could amputate so he could, kind of practice on them before he did it to himself. And his goal was to get the job done with no hope of reconstruction or reattachment, because he wanted to have the courage to bring himself to do this to himself. Now, that alone may make you an Asshead of the Week candidate, correct? Would you agree?
Asshead of more than a week. Just saying.
Right. I mean, so who the hell purposely wants to remove a limb? Because his goal was to be disabled. Why? Well, you want to know why his goal was to be disabled? And folks, this is the issue you have when transgender is, it's cool, it's fine. No big deal. His goal was to become disabled. Do you want to know why? Because he considers himself transabled. He feels like an imposter in his own body. See, Rick, he was born with fully functioning limbs, but he feels he shouldn't have been born that way. He really feels as if his right arm was not supposed to be there. And so because of that, he removed it. And you would think that he would be the asshead of the week, but here's what makes the asshead of the week not him, but somebody who's actually much, much worse. And the asshead of the week is a gentleman named Alexander Barrow. And he's from Quebec. And he's going to speak to the government of Canada this week about transableism and how important of an issue it is. Because he defines transability as the desire or the need for a person to be identified as able-bodied, but want to obtain a physical impairment. And he's also a member of the Congress of Social Sciences and Humanities, and he's a professor at the University of Ottawa. And here's the thing. Not only is he transgendered, he's transabled as well. And so he wants to make sure that people understand the plight of the transabled. Because the person could want to become deaf, blind, amputee, paraplegic. It's a really, really strong desire. And there's researchers in Canada, they're trying to figure out how the transabled feel. Because mostly they crave a paralysis or amputation. Some have wanted their penis removed. Others want to be blinded. It's really weird. It's like, I have all these senses. I have 4 functioning limbs. I have this taste of sight and smell and touch and taste, and my penis works, but I just don't feel as if my penis shouldn't work. I've been feeling guilty for 30 years that I have a right hand. And it's a really hard thing to understand. But please understand that transableism is real. And we have to understand and accept these people because we don't know what it's like to want to have a limb removed because you feel guilty about it. Now, let me break this down. And I didn't talk about Caitlyn Jenner. I didn't talk about any of that stuff because it's been beaten to death and you have better things to talk about. And I have better things to talk about. You guys know my stance on a lot of these things. And if you don't, let me catch you up to speed. Gay marriage, don't care. Have fun. Don't give a crap. Government shouldn't be involved. State shouldn't be involved. Marry whoever you want to marry. I don't care. Don't care. You call it marriage? Yeah, I have an issue with that if you believe in Christ and you believe in Christianity. But as far as a woman and a man being together, I don't give a crap. Have fun. Don't care. That's not my decision to make. That's not a church's decision to make. It's their decision to accept it or not to accept it, and you can't force them to accept it. Nor should the federal government make a state accept it. That's up to states, and quite frankly, states shouldn't even be involved. That's up to you and your God, and do what you want to do. I don't give a crap. That's just my opinion. You may disagree. I don't really care. But when it comes to transgenderism and Facebook having 82 different ways that people can figure out who they are, folks, here's how I feel. I think God made it pretty simple. If God made you who you are, God made you who you are. If you feel you were born gay, you're born gay. Who am I to judge? But when it comes to gender, look down. It's pretty simple, okay? If you have a twig and berries, you're a guy. If you don't, you're a girl. Simple. I am of the belief that God doesn't make mistakes on stuff like that. Just my thoughts. That's just me. But especially comes to transableism. So you mean to believe you're going to try to convince me that you were born with a healthy arm, but you don't think you should? God screwed up, so I'm going to take care of this. No, you don't. See, people who are born a certain way are born a certain way. And those who will tell you that are born without limbs, those who will tell you that are born blind, don't look at it as a curse, they look at it as a blessing, because it accentuates everything else about their life. And the fact that we have to be understanding the people who want to chop their own limbs off to be disabled because it's how they feel. Try not to change my mind. Why don't we get these people into some sort of psychiatric evaluation because they're cuckoo? Just saying. Don't defend the transabled. It's ridiculous and preposterous. But you know who's going to defend the transabled and try to convince people that it is something that everyone needs to hear about? That would be our good friend Alexander Barrel, the professor, transgender, transabled douche known as this week's Asshat of the Week.
Tune in next week for another exciting installment of Asshat of the Week.
That is going to be the finishing touches on this week's show, folks. Thank you so much for listening. We covered a lot of stuff today. If you didn't get a chance to hear the whole show, make sure you check out the SoundCloud or on iTunes. Check out the podcast. Also, follow me on Twitter at ATM_show. We'll be back next week, faster than you could say furious, with a Ramadan spectacular episode. And this has been Cannabis Oil. This has been the TPP. This has been vapes. This has been LeBron James. This has been the best root beer you'll ever buy. This has been all types of great stuff this week, according to me. We'll see you next week. Good night, America.
Always look on the bright side of life. Worst things happen to see, you know. You know, you come from nothing, you're going back to nothing. What you lost? Nothing! Nothing will come from nothing.